What's going on, everyone? Jared here, Decks and Dice, Ramblings of an LGS owner. And I kind of want to touch on something I've already touched on, go figure. But it's kind of like the current situation of allocations, supply, all that good stuff that every store is currently facing, whether they're going to admit it or not. I've had a lot of hey, some Weiss SPs. Yeah, just okay. Got them hanging around. Anyways, if you ever start a card shop, man, you will find that just random like SPs or just random cards are gonna fly around. And look at that. That's a sound effect. It's a phone, and we don't open for another 4 hours. So obviously, I'm not going to answer it. You'll have to deal with it. I apologize. But so with allocations, just general supply there with distro, I mean, even though I have 3 different distros that I work with, 1 main and 2 just, I have a secondary and a tertiary. Sorry, it's still weird. There is almost absolutely nothing at distro level with any TCG out there. Like, Magic has almost bare bones. Pokemon is your fucking funny. There's nothing. Flesh and Blood, there's really nothing. Force of Will, there's nothing. Weiss, there's really nothing. Damn, sorry guys. Digimon, there's really nothing. Like, you name the TCG, and the supply is just not there. And that's because there's been such an influx in not only like people opening up card shops and stuff like that, but people just trying to get in on the current weird TCG craze. And I know you've all seen this too. You've got like car dealerships selling Pokemon, Magic, stuff like that. You even have like, what was it that I saw? Bass Pro Shop or another outdoor store, I can't remember what it is, selling Pokemon, like graded slab Pokemon. You have everyone dipping their fingers into this already limited supply that just basically fed LGSs and some big box stores. Now everyone and their brother wants to come in and just put their fingers into the pie and try to get what little bit was there. And we are seeing that take full force now, as far as like getting restocks and everything like that from the first time you order something into the future. Pretty much slim to none, dude. If you don't like go balls deep right out the get-go, and probably depending on the set and card game, I don't know why I'm still holding these, but I am, depending on the set and the card game, you're still probably gonna get a cut here or there. You might end up getting 80% of what you put in, and that's good sometimes, Especially, like, I kind of get lucky with my main distributor. I get about 98% of what I put in pretty much all the time, but that 98% really only is able to feed my locals. The people that come into the shop every day, every other day, and spend money with me, shoot the shit, so forth and so forth. Which leaves very little wiggle room to expand into other areas, as far as like I have a Patreon tier where I would like to start shipping stuff out to people, and I've had people reach out to me about that recently, which kind of sparked this video, but not mainly. But anyways, and I'm gonna try my best to work with them, but like I told them, the only thing that I can guarantee, well, not even really guarantee, but feel comfortable enough with being like, yeah, I can get that, is play boosters. That's pretty much about it. Pokemon, there's no way in hell, unfortunately. I can put in for 24, 30 booster boxes, and I will get cut down to 6, maybe 9, 12, somewhere around there. And again, that's just enough to feed my local yokels. So, like, it's really, really hard to try and make it in this field currently. And by make it, I mean, like, actually be able to, like, bankroll yourself and have, like, thousands upon thousands just sitting in the bank account, just there, not ready to be almost immediately reinvested into, like, the next thing, I'm talking about legitimate, just, oh, I have 15K in the bank right now for shits and giggles, like, that's what I'm talking about. And it's because everyone and their brother is opening up LGSs or trying to be, online basement dweller sellers, like, it's really hard out there for legitimate shops to really churn a decent amount of money, or profit rather, when you can't hit the volume levels that you need to hit in order to actually be like, fuck yeah, that was worth it, and, like, let's all be honest, once something releases, especially if you are part of their, whatever their equivalent to a WPM program might be, if you're a part of that, you get your stuff a week early. So you can sell a week early, pre-sell a week early, whatever the hell you want to call it. With any new release that I have come into contact with over the last, 4 years now, you have a 3-week window, maybe 4-week window to get your sales in. You have at most a 4-week window to get your sales in, to get your money, to count your blessings that everything sold like the way it should or whatever, and hopefully you don't have 5-6 cases of dead product just laying around and have to fire sale shit just to get it off the books and try to recoup your losses. Looking at you, Yu-Gi-Oh! Jesus, Konami, get your shit together. But yeah, so, and that makes me super hesitant to want to branch out into other games. It makes me super hesitant to want to even try to support the current smaller games that I have, just because I can't guarantee that I'm going to have the product for a long enough time to be able to support that, Union Arena is a good example. I have like a whopping maybe 4-6 people, 2 realistically that come in religiously and play. And I don't put in for a lot with that, maybe a case or 2. But still, I've been cut on my UA stuff, Union Arena, if you didn't know. Even just trying to put in for a case or 2. Okay? Like, it's ridiculous. How am I supposed to not only start up a game, but continue to support a game and support a community when I can't get enough product in to hold back enough for, prizing? Because, like, let's be honest, if I order like a case or 2 of something for UA and I put back 5 or 6 boxes for prize support only, that leaves me with a little bit to just actually, sell or whatever. And with Union Arena, this is a weird niche example, so it may translate or may not. It depends on the IP that current set is to, whether it's going to be worth it or not. But anyways, I digress. With the smidgen of stuff that we are able to get, really, is it worth it for me to buy the stuff, support the games and all that, when I can't crack open enough stuff to have like a healthy thing of singles in the shop for the game? Because let's be honest, in most games, whenever you buy a box or two, you have your play sets of commons and uncommons, and arguably probably most of your rares. After you buy a box or two, you're looking for singles. That's what you're doing. You don't want to gamble, the $100 a box or whatever it might be in hopes of getting that card. I mean, some people do, but most people are just like, well, now I'm just after singles. What incentive is there for me and any other shop, honestly, to carry a new TCG or a smaller TCG when I can't even have enough product to bust open for my shop, to have singles, to feed a community for that game, to hope they stay around long enough to continue building that community, to give them a reason to keep coming back, at least to my shop, to support the game. Like, what incentive is there for me to be like, yeah, okay, let's do this, when there's a 90% chance that it's gonna fail simply because I can't get the product? And there's no way in hell that I'm going to go balls deep on some random new TCG unless it's like Gundam. That I like Gundam anyway, so that was a no-brainer. But when there's no, why would I go balls deep on something new like that when I don't even know if it's going to do anything or not? I tend to not really want to venture into other areas unless like one of my minions shows interest in it, I overhear people talking about it, stuff like that. So, like, initially, like, Lorcana is probably a good example, for our store at least. I bought a decent amount coming out, went balls deep. Arguably, it might have been, well, probably was my fault for selling a lot of the product to a single person, but I was under the assumption that there was going to be a wave 2 in like a month or two. I'd be able to reorder pretty much everything that I wanted again. No, that didn't happen. And that continues to happen and be a problem with a lot of these upcoming smaller TCGs and just newer TCGs. You get that first wave and that's it. And then it might be 6, 7, 8 months down the road where you'll get a reprint wave 2 of the first set and you're already 4 sets into the game itself. Like, if there's no way for me to continue to actually support a game, give it life, breathe life into it, hold back prize support, have singles, be able to like build a community out of the game, there's no reason for me to even carry the game at that point. Arguably there might be a reason just to get those initial like sales for that first 2 to 4 weeks that like everything is selling, but at that point I'm not supporting the game. I'm just quick flipping is essentially what I'm doing. Which, fine, sure, you still make your money, but after I run out of product for that, there's no more. There's no reason for anyone else to come back into my shop to buy more stuff if I don't have what they're looking for. And through no fault of my own, usually, just because the product isn't there and I can't restock it because there's so many fucking people that are trying to ride this TCG explosive wave thing that we have seen. And it's really bothersome because once this levels out, and I know it probably might not level out for another year or so, but it will level out. Once that levels out, guys, it's going to go back to where it was 5 years ago, where shit is not quick, tendy, flipping stuff, and then your fair weather LGS's basement flippers will probably dry up and run away, but at that point, how much damage has been done to, legitimate shops? I use legitimate shops like mine because it's brick and mortar. I can easily sit fucking 60 people in here. You know, I host events, blah 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 blah. That's what I mean by like legitimate brick and mortar, not just somebody in their basement or somebody who, you know, operates a 10 by 5 spot in a local mall somewhere where there's no room to play. At that point, if the damage is done for a long enough timeline, how many of us smaller legitimate shops are also going to go under just because we can't get the stuff we need in order to do what we need to do to stay alive? You know, if distros. Okay. If distros aren't willing to do like a detective work job level on a lot of their, which arguably they do, you have to go through a process, there's an application, you have to do pictures and all that good stuff, but like, how can I phrase this without kind of sounding like an asshole? If distros would just do a better job of figuring out who is legitimate, who is not, and limiting their amounts, limiting what they can get. Like I know with one of my distros, if you're online only, you have no access to you have no access to Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, and a bunch of other, you know, Flesh and Blood, like a bunch of other little games that like supposedly require you to have a brick and mortar. But let's all be honest here. We all know that basement dwellers and, you know, rip and shippers, all that good stuff, if they have the deep pockets to get it, they're going to get it. The distro persons are not going to give a shit. And if also, like I've said in other videos, if distros would fucking stop moonlighting as other LGSs and selling their own shit through the back door, that would be phenomenal too. You know? Like, you go on TCG Player, and Yu-Gi-Oh is a great example. Like I made a post about a couple of weeks ago, where you see places selling boxes for like $40 a box or some shit, and it's not a verified LGS. It's just somebody there or whatever with, you know, 50,000 plus sales and all that good shit. Willing to bet 95% that is a shell company for the distros to just offload their shit, you know, get it off the books. Even if they can only make $2 off of the box after fees and everything, if they're moving thousands of boxes, that's still better than it cluttering up room in their warehouses. Okay. Anyways, that's that. I'll zip that one up right there. But yeah. So allocation wise and like just availability of product for everyone is fucking abysmal now. Like Magic, you know, I think the only thing that I can really get any kind of numbers on is Aether Drift, Thunder Junction, and through one of my distros, Duskmorn is still available as far as play boosters go. Past that, dude, there's not a whole lot. There's a couple of like pre-release kits I can still get from Aether Drift. Yeah, and after that, dude, there's nothing. Like commander decks aren't really a thing. Modern Horizons 3 stuff I can get, you know, the expensive crap, some Commander Masters, stuff like that, which we all know did just so well right out the gate anyways. But it's really hard to try and do this when there's so many people trying to drink from the same trough, you know? And supposedly we get priority over people, you know, your spend and all that good stuff gives you priority, etc., etc. So, like, I get it, but at the same time, how am I supposed to keep supporting stuff, you know? And that's that's just a generalized, broad term there. You know, like how am I supposed to keep supporting everything when I can't reorder stuff that I need? Like Riftbound is coming up in like September or October or something like that, and you know, I had pre-orders up on my website and I limited it to 2 boxes per person, and I only put a case up on that mofo because from what I understand, allocations for that game is going to be completely and totally fucking dumb. The same as it was for Gundam. Like, Gundam was abysmal. Thanks, Bandai, for fucking everything up there, you know, technically. Because when the game launches, what the fuck am I going to do? Because I know after that initial booster box wave, we're not going to see another reprint until we're on, like, set 7. Because Bandai is fucking notorious for that shit. Just like with One Piece, man. We didn't get, like, a reprint of the older sets until I think they were on, like, OP, what, 6? 5 or 6? Maybe 7? Is when they started reprinting the first and second, third sets, stuff like that. And even then, those reprints were small reprints. You know, like they were the size of the initial first wave, and you got a whopping 6 boxes or some shit out of it. So, like, it's really disheartening and just was disheartening, demoralizing. Boom, there we go. To even want to venture into any other card games just because of the supply, man. Like I said, if there's no way for me to get enough boxes, to be able to sell enough for my locals, to be able to hopefully put some online and actually make some money off of it, be able to crack some for singles, to cultivate a community, to be like, yeah, man, I got you on that card you need, you know, so that way the community stays as in-house as possible without having to venture out into the wilds to find product just to, like, come in and sit there and play, you know? What good does it do me, you know? Like, realistically. Like I said, yes, I can order it, get that quick flip, and then boom. But then when they come back in and they realize that I have no more product and there's probably not going to be any more product for a while, I've lost that person. You want returning customers. You don't want just one and done people. You want people to keep coming back and coming back and coming back. And that's just not doable with a lot of these newer games because of the shitty supply. But yeah, and like I'm one of those guys where I'm not going to go out on the secondary market and buy shit, you know, just to have it in my shop. I'm not going to go out there and do that, because then if I spend, I don't know, we'll just say if I spend $250 on a box, I'm going to have to sell it to you guys for like $300, $325 or something just to make a little bit more on what I did. And then you're going to be like, what the fuck, man? I'm not going to do that. That's I get it. It looks nice to have stuff on your walls, but if your stuff on your walls is super expensive, does it even really move? You know, is it worth it? Is it worth being that place that scalps themselves? You know, I'd rather have a hole in my wall, explain to people why I have a hole in the wall, and hope that that just is good enough for them. So yeah, that's about it. I believe that's about all I got, guys. That's about all I got. Just wanted to ramble about that one, kind of bitch about it, let you guys know what's going on. It's really weird. It's a super weird time to be in this field, because I've had like 3 or 4 people send me emails about, hey, I'm starting up a shop, you know, can we do distro stuff? And it's like, I'd like to, man, but like, good luck. You know, I can help with probably play boosters, maybe commander decks, but that's about it. Pokemon's not going to happen. You know, Flesh and Blood probably won't happen. You know, it's everything is heavily allocated now. It's abysmal, and they're probably reaching out to me because they're reaching out to everyone else because they've run into that problem too with their standard channels. there's just not enough to go around. There's not enough to feed the demand. Um, and that's because, like I said, everyone has their fingers in the pie currently, and there's just not really enough to go around. And I wish there was some way to figure out the fakes from the reals, I guess, to just kind of put it black and white there. But anywho, you guys have a good one. I appreciate everyone who has subbed and all that good stuff. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. The support is great. We do have a Patreon. I mean, even if you just want to do the $1.50 tier a month to be like, hey man, I like your bullshit, but I'm not rich. Here's $1.50. That'd be awesome too. If all of you guys did that, the 1.2K followers subs we have on here times $1.50, that would be phenomenal. But I'm just throwing it out there because I got a shield for myself. But anyways, gonna get off of here. Gonna go finish singling out some stuff. And yeah, as I like to say, guys, life is not a dick. You don't have to take it so hard. Sometimes the dick does win, though, so keep that in mind, too. And you're a trash can, not a trash can't. And just, let me know in the comments, man, what do you guys think about all this? If you're in the realm that I'm in and everything, and, like, if you're running into issues like this, just let me know. You guys have a good one. Take it easy and be safe out there.